All right, what's up, everyone? Tim Collins with the TC Lifestyle Fit Podcast. It's a beautiful day. I have my brother, Rafael Barlowe. He's the founder of NBA Draft Junkies, successful entrepreneur, man of God, husband, a friend. He loves people. He does a great job getting out into the community, serving people with his gift. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to bring him on the show to talk about entrepreneurship and also some of the challenges he experienced on his way to achieve success in his business. So without further ado, let's bring Rafael Barlowe onto the podcast. All right, Rafael, what's up, my brother? How you doing?
Nothing much, man. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Hey, you rocking the Blockbuster hat. I love that. So if you were born in like the 80s or 90s, you know everything about Blockbuster. What do you miss about that business?
What do I miss about Blockbuster?
Yeah.
I hear.
You had to, man. You wore the hat, so I had to bring it up, brother.
Yeah,
what do you miss about Blockbuster?
I hear echo, so I'm just trying to figure out where.
Yes, it looks like you're showed twice on this screen here.
Let me see.
Yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll get it fixed. I see you in my waiting room twice. There we go. I think we're good now.
All right, but now I can't see you.
Oh, you can't see me?
Nope.
We'll get it figured out.
Okay, well.
And you still can't see me?
No.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I can see you perfectly.
Okay.
All
right.
We'll get it worked out.
Blockbuster. Honestly, it was years ago. It's probably like 29. No, maybe like 2008 or whatever. I had bought a house, and that's when the whole mortgage crisis happened or whatever.
Yeah.
So my mortgage more than doubled, and I went and I needed a part-time job because I was trying to keep up with it. And one of the part-time job that I got was at Blockbuster warehouse, and it was like an absolutely terrible job because I had to work. I had my main job, and then I got off my main job, and I worked on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Wow.
And then I would get off and go to my job, and I had to like stand, and basically all I was doing was putting the inserts in the DVDs. So when I saw this hat, it was just basically a reminder of how far I've had to come to do what I'm enjoying doing, because I mean, it was tough. I mean, I'm literally standing all day long, and it was just monotonous work. You get a DVD cover, you put the insert in, pass it down the line, feet hurt, long hours, and so there's some significance to me wearing this hat.
Wow. How did that experience fuel you with the energy to start NBA Draft Junkies? And you have experience in other entrepreneurial endeavors as well, and Barlowe Films. Can we start there? What is NBA Draft Junkies? And tell us a little bit more about yourself, if we could piece those two components together.
So I've always wanted to work in the NBA and cover the draft. It's been, I mean, like I said, as long as I can remember, it's something that I always had an interest in. And when I graduated from college, I was thinking like, I'm gonna get a job in NBA out of college. It didn't happen. Then I ended up basically going down the path of just working, just a regular life, working 9 to 5s. And I had a job that moved me to Dallas that I really liked. But it wasn't like my passion. It wasn't something that I woke up like excited about. And I once heard a message at a church I was visiting, and the pastor, he walks in and he says, "If I gave you $10 million, would you go to work tomorrow?" And most people were like, "No, I'm not going to work." And he was like, "That means you're not doing what you're passionate about." And how it kind of relates to you, I remember when I first met you,
Yeah.
And you struck me as a person that if I gave you $10 million, you're going to do the same thing. You're not going to do. Yeah. I'm imagining you're going to just use that money and it just eases like the struggle of being an entrepreneur for you. But you're so passionate about what you're doing. So
I appreciate that, Rafael. Those words mean a lot because you are a man who always had a significant influence, and you came into my life at a very vulnerable, intricate time where I needed some encouragement to move forward in business, and you were helping me with my mindset, helping me create videos and content on the YouTube specifically. I believe that Mr. Wrong video that we created with Arnett, the comedy, was a hit, and I wasn't expecting to get thousands of views on that video, which is basically a comedy where this fitness instructor is trying to teach a man who has his first experience at the gym how to be successful with his workout routine. And I thought that was just a great message on how to teach people to transition into healthy living and adding some a comical component to it. That was a beautiful video, and it gave me an opportunity to work on my acting skills. So So tell me more about the NBA Draft Junkies, and I'd love to learn more about what you're doing with the Barlowe films as well.
Yeah, so like I said, I wanted to do draft stuff, and I ended up. I'm trying to like condense the story so it doesn't sound super long. So I ended up leaving the job that brought me to Dallas. I left because I got passed over for like a promotion. I felt like they were taking advantage of me, and I just abruptly was like, you know what, I'm gonna teach them a lesson, and I'm gonna quit. So it was more so just me being upset that I felt like I wasn't treated fairly. And so I ended up taking another job that was paying a little bit more money, but I absolutely hated it. Like when I say I hated it, like, that it's that feeling of, man, my alarm clock went off and just dreading going to work and looking at the clock, and you're like, all right. And I'm a sports guy, so I used to have to break the day down into 4 quarters. All right, 8 to 10. All right, I made it through the first quarter. All right, 10 to 12. Okay, it's halftime. All right, I'm halfway through the day.
Wow.
And I just absolutely hated that job.
Wow.
And every day I was thinking like, all right, I'm gonna walk out and quit. But then I was like, maybe I need to save up enough money. And one day after 6 weeks, I came in, and they basically were like, hey, we had some budget issues. We need to cut salary. And we know we recruited you, and you were the last one in, so you're going to be the first one to go. But here, we're going to give you a severance package. And they gave me a severance package after like 6 weeks. That kind of it gave me a little cushion, but I was excited. And from there, I learned like, all right, the workforce is unstable. It doesn't matter.
That's true.
Like what kind of job you have, how much money you make, just like that, somebody can lay you off.
Wow.
So I was like, well, if I'm gonna be unstable, I might as well just be unstable and do what I want to do. So I might as well, because I was just thinking like, because at the time I wasn't married, I didn't have any kids, and I'm like, man, what happens if I had a wife and kids, and I was, I had a family to support, and they just let me go just like that because they made a mistake. So I was like, from now on, I'm gonna put things in my control. And so just went on this journey, just trying to figure out how to get involved in sports, how to basically just kind of make a name for myself, and I had a moment that was very pivotal for me. So I was living in LA. And I decided that I was going to come back to Dallas. So right when I was decided to come back to Dallas, I was actually here in Dallas, and I just got a new place, because I got a new place because I won like a class action lawsuit from when I lost my home in the whole first wave of the mortgage crisis. So I took that whole check, and I went and like put some money down on a place.
Nice.
So right when I'm like maybe a day or so after I signed the paperwork, I get a message from the church I was going to, from the pastor of the church I was going to in LA. He's like, hey man, we got this internship for you. Somebody at the church knows somebody. We have an internship for you with the Los Angeles Clippers. So now I'm like torn because I'm like, all right, I just got this place. But this is the opportunity that I've been looking for. Like this is the perfect opportunity. I know if I get my foot in the door, I'm gonna kill it. So at the time I'm 30 and I get the internship, but they tell me you have to take it for class credit. And so then they tell me that it's unpaid. So I'm like, all right, I got to pay for this place in Dallas. I decided to come to LA, back to LA, because I think this is, an opportunity, but I don't have the money to pay both places. Actually, I don't even have a job. And so the internship was like, I'd say part-time, but I had to like take class credit.
Right.
So I'm like, all right.
Right.
And I have a saying, like, when it works out, it's considered faith. When it doesn't work out, you look stupid. And so I think any like entrepreneur can relate to that. And I'm a risk taker.
100%.
Yeah. And so I'm a big risk taker. Yeah. So I thought, like, I'm not going to play it safe. There's no way that I'm in position for this internship and it's going to fail. This is going to be like a test of my faith, whatever. So I go back. I have, again, no job. Still got to pay rent in LA, Dallas, whatever. But I'm like, I'm going to show them that I'm the best person.
So I love that.
Hold on, it gets worse. So, so I take I sign up at like this community college and I just take like a PE course.
Yeah.
And the professor, or I don't even know if he's a professor, but the PE teacher is like, I'm not gonna sign the paperwork because if I sign it, you're not gonna come back. And I'm like, promising, like, yeah, if you sign the paperwork, I'm gonna go to class. And he was like, no. So the people at the Clippers are like, hey, you're the only one that hasn't brought any of your college classwork paperwork. And I'm like, I'm not a traditional student, but I'm like going to school. But again, the professor won't sign it. So after maybe like the third day, they're on my head about not having my proper paperwork. And so I finally was like, all right, I'm just going to go drive to the school and just tell the professor, like, hey, please sign this paperwork. I'm in jeopardy of losing my internship that I literally am already like taking a crazy risk for trying to do this.
Wow.
And on my way to, this is crazy. On my way to try to get him to sign that paperwork, my car shuts down in LA traffic in the morning. Long story short, I never made it to get the teacher to sign my paperwork, and I got fired from the Clippers on my it's like fourth day for not having my paperwork and not showing up to work.
Wow.
And so, in sports, it's so competitive. The lady was kind of looking at me like, there are thousands of people that wanted this opportunity. I took a chance on you. You didn't have your paperwork. You missed your fourth. So I got fired. And then I got evicted like maybe the day before that. So now I'm like, I have no internship. My car, and it was a nice car, and I took it in. It said it was like $20,000 to get fixed, which I didn't have 20 grand. So now I don't have a place to stay in LA. I have no car. And the reason I came back, I lose the internship. So I think a lot of people, that would have been a sign like, okay, maybe this ain't it. And so when I came back to Dallas, now I did have a place in Dallas, but at the time, my brother and his wife and their new baby were living there just because, just needed someone to help with the bills while I wasn't there. And instead of like taking the job and playing it safe, I took an unpaid internship with the Dallas Mavericks minor league team. And I ended up like getting a job at a gas station working overnight. That's how bad I wanted it. So, so that's kind of how I got started. And then I was trying to figure out a way to make some money, be creative, put myself in a different situation. And then that's when I picked up the camera and started like creating content, because again, this is 2012. Content then isn't what it is now.
Wow. That's amazing. That's an incredible story, Rafael. The life of an entrepreneur is like surfing on waves.
Yeah.
There's so many ups, there's so many downs, but I love how you said you decided to take risk because there was more opportunity. And the difference between someone who's successful as they take their risk is their mindset, having faith. And you already had a vision for what you wanted for your life, even though the process was difficult, the process was uncertain, you still found a way to succeed and get what you want out of life. And one of my mentors, his name's Ernest Ross, he'll be on the podcast Monday. He talks about, as an entrepreneur, trying to find that happy balance between business and life, kids, etc. He said it's all together. If you want to be successful, you need to become your business. There's really no such thing as having a balance in those particular areas. And I get it because to maximize, to be the best you can be at your craft, especially in business and entrepreneurship, you have to become a whole different animal. You have to build your capacity to work hard, and you have to be service driven. Can you talk about how that concept relates to your life as an entrepreneur, how you're balancing business and how you're balancing life? And what does it mean to be a bull? You know what I mean? What does it mean to be a bull at your work?
Well, for me, the balancing thing is new because I've been married less than 2 years and I got a son that's 13 months. Wow. So this is really the first time that I had to balance. When it was just me, I really didn't need to balance anything. I didn't have extra funds to do extracurricular stuff. You know what I mean? Like hanging with friends. And, it's like the older you get, all friends want to do is go out to eat and spend money and all that. So I didn't necessarily have any balance. And on one hand, I'm thankful for the fact that I had nothing but time to focus on just trying to keep my head above water. That was the thing.
On, man.
And I feel like the part about being an entrepreneur, and I'll be honest, I'm not really good at it. I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of knowing like
both.
your worth in a sense. Like I was charging based off of what I needed, not what I was worth. So if it was like, oh man, my lights are about to get cut off. If somebody wanted a video project, then I'm charging them just enough so they say yes, so I can pay my light bill. So I mean, there are people that are really good at establishing how much they're worth and their value. For me, I was more so looking for the quick yes. And so I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to that.
Right.
But yeah, like the balancing thing now, it's a struggle because I got so used to being able to just work all day.
Right.
Stop and start whenever I wanted to. But now, like, it's not like that. Like, for example, I got up, I think I went to bed last night at like 1:15. Then I got up at like 7, and then I started working. And then right when I was just kind of getting in my like groove, I hear my son crying. So I went and I just took him for a walk. And so now it's like that momentum that I had has stopped. So I'm still just trying to figure out how to balance it all.
Man, that's a tough time when you have a newborn, when you have a baby at home. I go all the way back to when I was a trainer at 24 Hour Fitness. This was before I became an entrepreneur. I remember when my babies were little, Violet, I woke up, it was probably 2:00 in the morning. I was a fitness manager at the time. So I had a team of 15 trainers that I'm managing, and I had to make sure we're meeting our club goals. So it was just a busy, tough time for me. It's like 2:00 in the morning, and I hear my daughter Violet just playing around, making all these giggles, all this noise in her room. So I'm like, what is this girl doing at 2:00 in the morning, making all that giggle? I open the door, I take a step, right? And the first thing I feel is something slimy under my foot. And then I smell this, like this. It wasn't a good smell. I'll tell you that. It wasn't a good smell. I turned on the light. My daughter was throwing poop. Sorry to be graphic, everyone. This is fatherhood. My daughter was throwing poop all over the wall, poop all over her crib. She had poop all over her. And I had to take her out the crib, bathe her, clean the room. And then literally by the time I got done doing that, it was like 5 o'clock and I needed to be at the gym.
Yeah.
That's the life of being in business, being in work, or whatever is entrepreneurship. Have you experienced something like that where you're enjoying your time, getting ready for a good day of work, and then it's disrupted by a challenge or an obstacle?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, it happens often, and I think like sometimes, like if you work a regular 9 to 5, when the obstacle comes, you can easily, people will be like, okay, well, you got to work. But when you have that flexibility, some people think like, oh, well, you do it because you got the flexibility. You're not reporting to anybody.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, life is full of obstacles and challenges. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out the balance between being a good husband and a good father, and at the same time trying to meet. Because I feel like, honestly, I'm thankful and I love my family.
Yes, sir.
I do feel like my productivity has dropped for a good cause.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know that for me to live how I want to live, I'm going to need to figure out how to be more productive, which may mean putting my son in childcare, which is super expensive. So it's like trying to weigh, all right, if I'm paying X amount of dollars to put him in childcare, with that 8 hours that I have, am I going to be more productive and make more money because my hands aren't tied? So
right.
all learning experience.
It's all, life is one just enormous learning experience for all of us. You tell us more about, with the NBA. You've had some connections with NBA teams. I've always wanted to ask you this question. You had the opportunity to speak on one of the largest sports platforms as a commentator. Like when you are assessing athletes, analyzing NBA, what are you looking for exactly?
Well, so from like a scouting perspective, you always got to look at like positional size. Like, do they have the size to compete? So, it'd be like someone looking at me, I don't have the size to compete on an NBA level. Even if I was extremely talented, I'd have to be like extremely gifted to be able to compete, because I just don't have the natural size. So that's the one thing. And then just having a translatable skill set, that a role that a guy can fill and play. And then there's just so many other factors. Can a player play a complementary role? Every NBA team has their guy that they're paying $30-40 million to. And everybody around the team has to understand, like, they are a complementary piece. They are a role player. So you're also looking for players that understand who they are, because there are some guys in the NBA that are not as talented as guys that are outside the NBA, but that maybe that guy in the NBA understands, like, all right, my role on this team is to just stand in the corner and knock down open shots. I'm not going to get a chance to dribble a bunch of times and have plays called for me. I just got to sit here and wait for LeBron or Luka or Harden or somebody to pass me the ball. Or there may be a guy that's not in the NBA that he can only play if he's featured. So just looking for things like that.
That's so good. And we always talk about Kobe Bryant's, the Michael Jordans, the LeBron James, the Kevin Garnett's. These gentlemen are probably some of the best athletes to ever step on a basketball floor. And not necessarily because of their ability or their talent, is because of their mental approach to the game. Is there anybody out there in the NBA right now, or maybe even just sports in general, who has just that killer instinct that every time they get on the floor, they will give their absolute best effort to themselves, to the team, to the coach, but maybe they don't have the same level of talent as a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few guys, but I even say like the Jordan and Kobe mindset where you don't look like you're having fun, where you want to be like, I don't know how to put it, has made people believe like unless you show intensity all the time, that's the only way that you are considered like super hyper competitive and being a dog. So I mean, there's guys that have it in their own way. You know, somebody may say LeBron, they may be anti-LeBron because he's not Jordan or he's not Kobe. He's liked by his teammates. He just has a different approach to it, but you don't get to the level of success that he's got to without being like a dog or super competitive. And even from like his standpoint is, I mean, you work with athletes and you know fitness to be able to do what he does at the level that he's doing it at his advanced age is something that we've never seen. So that takes a whole level of dog in it that you know. I actually had a friend tell me once, he was like, he said one of the hardest things in the world is knowing that you can be anywhere on the planet that you want to be in a matter of hours when you have a certain amount of money in your bank account. You can go on Instagram, you can see like somebody in Fiji and you can see the crystal blue water. You could be like, I can be there tomorrow.
Wow.
And he was like, when you have that type of money, but yet you push yourself, your body to the limit in the off season because you're trying to get better and you're trying to continue to play at a high level. To me, that is a dog mindset that I think a lot of people don't pay attention to. That when you have all the money in the world, but yet you're still pushing yourself in the gym, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, running hills, taking 1,000 shots, eating correctly. Because once you make a certain amount of money, a lot of people, they get comfortable.
Wow. How do you overcome that? And how do you continue to make yourself valuable to an organization, to the world without having that level of or is it talent? Like, what's your perspective on that in terms of how you add value to the marketplace, to your team, your organization? Is it talent or is it something else?
I mean, it's a combination of both. I mean, you got to have the talent to get there, but then sometimes your talent may not just be enough. Like, I mean, we see it all the time. There are guys that are really talented high school players, and then when they get to college, they don't have that talent advantage. And if they don't have the talent advantage and a work ethic, then you know you kind of plateau. So I think it's a combination of talent, work ethic, discipline. But I think that applies to anything, whether it's athletics, whether it's being like an entrepreneur. Like I could be the most talented speaker, videographer, artist, whatever, but you have to like really put in the work, and then you have to have people skills. So I mean, it's just talent alone would just kind of get you so far.
What do you believe is the most often overlooked quality that an entrepreneur needs to be successful that nobody's really having conversations about right now?
I say it's a couple things. You can't be afraid to fail.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
You have to be mentally tough.
Mentally tough. Not afraid to fail. Mentally tough.
And I just think you have to be willing to take risks. So and you got to understand that it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so I look at like I use myself for an example. When I was on this journey, I was 30. So I wasn't old, but I wasn't like extremely young. But I knew like this may take a while. And there were like so many people that were trying to do the same thing that I'm trying to do. But years later, I'm doing it and I'm able to make a living doing it, while they may have veered off because they wanted more money. They wanted, to keep up with the Joneses in a sense. They wanted to be able to have whatever. Like, I mean, people that know me know that, I didn't grow up poor by any means. I grew up with a privileged lifestyle. And I would always say that my life didn't have any challenges until I decided to be an entrepreneur. If I would have just kind of played the safe route, I didn't have like student loans. I could have just played the safe route and been fine, but I would have missed out on so many different experiences. So for me, being 30 years old and not having a car, or being 35 and riding a bus or riding a moped and having a college degree and working graveyard shift at a gas station, so I could work for free. That was challenging. So I said all that to say this: a lot of the people that, and of course I was older, so my parents I wasn't gonna be like 35 asking my mom for money here and there. So they had did their job, basically making sure that I was. But anyway, so a lot of people that wanted to do sports, they were more interested in like right now and having the newer apartment, or being able to like not look broke to their friends. So they kind of dabbled. Man, I'll do sports, but I'm gonna get me a part-time job. And then the more and more they like bought things, they kind of became, for lack of a better term, a slave to their possessions. Because now you need to pay for that car, yada yada yada. And so now they're like, I want to get back in sports. But it's a lot harder for them because they have to really take a step backwards. So for me, I had to take a step all the way backwards. Like I tell people, when I was 25, I bought my first house and I was driving a BMW. When I was 35, I was in a studio apartment and I didn't have a car.
Wow. Whew, that's a transition. And how do you keep a positive mindset with that? Going through that transition.
It was tough. I mean, I'll be honest. Like there was a couple points where I prayed to God, like, just take this vision away, take this mindset away. Let me be comfortable and content. Settling. Like, I would look and I see my friends buying houses and cars and this and that. And then I'm struggling. And I mean, I've been evicted. I've had cars repossessed. I've had my lights off. And so there were times where I was just like, all right, just take this vision away. Take it away. Then I would go like apply for jobs. Like, all right, I'm gonna quit. And then I would start looking at jobs and it was like, I can't do that. Oh, I would be miserable. And then there was one time I applied for a job. And this guy, I wish I knew his name. I would reach out to him and tell him he helped me out. I applied for this job. And I mean, I had experience in corporate, so I'm dressed up. And I see the other people that are applying for the same job and they're not dressed up. So I'm like, all right, this is easy. I'm gonna get this job. There's no way that. So I go to the interview and the guy is just like, I'm not gonna hire you. And I'm like, that's rude. He's like, you don't want to do this. You're probably just in a tough spot right now. And as soon as you get out this tough spot, you're gonna quit. He was like, just keep going. And so I'm literally lying to the guy, like, no, I want to use my experiences that I've had as an entrepreneur, and I think I can use them and help your company. And he's just like, no. In so many words, he told me, I'm looking to hire somebody that does not have your vision. I want to hire somebody that I know is going to be here for 10 years and they're just content working. He's like, I'm not hiring you. You're going to quit as soon. And he was telling the truth. And so that was something that I was like, all right, I got to just keep going. And every time that I thought like, all right, it's not going to happen, something happened. And I tell you, when I got my big break, and I think this is around the time that we met. So I was in a bad spot. I was really in a bad spot. And then I had just got evicted, and nobody knew. I just got evicted, and I had enough money to like stay in like a cheap motel for a few days. I get a phone call
Wow.
2016. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I get a phone call from
Wow.
my parents, and they're like, "Hey,
Wow.
the church is going to Paris.
Mm.
Do you want to go and like film it and kind of tell the story for the 30th anniversary?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
They're like, "The church would pay for it."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I go to Paris, and again, I have no money. Just like they pay for the flight, and I was basically gonna film like a mini documentary for free. All I wanted was just to get there. So while I'm in Paris, I tweet, and this is the honest to God truth. I tweet out, I want to live overseas. I don't want to just experience it as a tourist. Tweet it out.
Wow.
No big
Wow.
deal.
Wow.
15 minutes later, I get a phone call from a friend of mine that's an agent of professional basketball players. He's like, "Are you serious?" I said, "Serious about what?" He says, "Are you serious about that tweet that you posted?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "You would really want to live overseas for like a whole year or so?" I was like, "Man, I would love to." He's like, "All right, hold on, I might have something for you." So that was in May when I tweeted this out.
Right.
On September 26th, I was living in Istanbul, Turkey. I had a job where I was just filming content on a player.
Wow.
And at that time, it was the most money that I had ever made. So not only am I making the most money that I've ever made, I'm living in Istanbul. I'm traveling. I'm seeing like different parts of the world, and I don't have any like bills at home. So I'm like basically paying off whatever debts that I had from, just losing stuff. And then from there, just kind of, I mean, there's been some challenges since then, but from there, it's and that's when I started my NBA Draft Junkies website when I was over there.
That's a journey, man. If I were to compare success to a mountain, right? Like you cannot get to the top without starting from the bottom.
Yeah.
You have to climb your way up. And the higher you go, the harder it gets. But every time you keep going, it's building muscle for a new level. And then when you get up there, you can't be getting comfortable staying up top because the air is thin. You have to go back down and climb it back up again. Maybe bring someone else up there with you. And I know before we conclude this amazing podcast, I have a couple more questions for you. But you talked about failure. The greatest indicator of someone's success is its neuroticism. It's how they look at their challenges. It's how they perceive their obstacles. And I learned, a concept I learned is the original experience isn't the entire category. So we make that phone call, right? We make that phone call to explain our product or service to someone, and like, oh no, I don't want it. Just after that one call, you give up because you think the next call is going to be the same, or the next. No, it's not. Just because that person you had a conversation with doesn't want your product or service, maybe they really legitimately don't need it. But now the next person, they probably really do need it. But you're, putting the same people in that category. You miss out on an opportunity to help someone.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like I would be bad at sales, but I think for me, what drove me was the fear of being unhappy. Because I think like if you look at your average day, you spend the majority of your day at work.
Yeah.
And so what drove me was the fear of spending the majority of my day unhappy at work, which means that's going to be the majority of my week, my month, my life. And so that is what kept me going, because there were plenty of times I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But when I look at a job, I'm like, you mean I got to get up in the morning, I got to put on some slacks and some dress shoes and a button-up shirt, and sit in the office and talk to some people that I have absolutely nothing in common with. Okay, let me think of something else that I can do that can help me make a little money here, so I don't have to do it.
I'm gonna be upfront. I remember there was a time, this was years ago, I was having a moment and I wanted to like throw everything away that I worked hard for with entrepreneurship. And I had messaged Bishop Barlowe, your father, there was an opportunity to take on this management position at Lifetime for me. And I'm like, this looks really good right now. And then, I had a conversation with Bishop, and he said, enjoy your freedom. He said, celebrate your freedom. And that was confirmation that I needed to just level myself up. I needed to get better. I need to rise up and get better. And I'm grateful for men like you, men like Bishop Barlowe, mentors, people who have poured into me. They helped me see a side of myself that I didn't know was there. And instead of like getting scared and operating out of fear, like, what can I do to build my capacity for something else? And if there's something that I don't know how to do, doesn't mean I'm inadequate. I just need to go, maybe I need to learn a couple things from someone else so I can become the person I need to be to move forward in my life.
Yeah.
So, man, it's important. You got to be around the right people too. And you need to have the right people you can ask questions, and connect with.
And just sticking to it. A friend of mine made a comment once, and his people may disagree with his statement, but he said that he believes this era is the easiest era to succeed in life. He's like, you just have to stay the course.
Right.
He's like, most people won't. And then he says, once you stay the course, you'll be fine. And then you're going to get lucky with an opportunity that could just change your life. Yeah. And just looking back at my story, I stayed the course because I started this journey in 2010, but it was 2016 when I got lucky and made that tweet that allowed me to live overseas. And I mean, even like just like where I'm at today, I put out hundreds of videos and podcasts talking about NBA draft, whatever. And then one day somebody heard it and listened to it, and then they put me on they wanted me on their podcast. Then a bigger platform heard it. They put me on their platform.
Wow.
And then I did a show, and then somebody heard it, and they heard me talking about a player, an international player. And then they were like, I'll invest in you to go live overseas for a year. So, I mean, it's all been like, just stand the course, failure. But then sometimes an opportunity would just pop up just because you just never know who's paying attention or who's watching.
That's true. You never know who is watching. Man, that was a great story that you shared with us, Rafael. Before we wrap it up, is there one final word or concept of encouragement you'd like to share with our audience? Any aspect of their life, whether it's health, wellness, pursuing goals?
I just say, just believe in yourself. You're gonna fail. You're going to take your losses. But if you just keep believing in yourself, and then just try to like find a way to like add value, like find a place where something is missing, because people are always looking for someone that adds value, and just think outside the box. And so if you can do that and just stick to it. I mean, of course, it's easy for me to say now because I'm doing what I enjoy doing. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm at the point where I can live and pay bills just talking about basketball and doing a podcast and so on.
Wow, that's amazing.
But it's just you just got to believe in yourself, and you can't be afraid to like fail. You're probably going to lose things. And my theory is when it works out, they be like, oh man, he's got great faith. But when it doesn't, you look stupid. And so
that's true.
You look stupid.
That's true. Wow. That's just a process of you moving forward despite the turbulent times. And that's how we build our character. That's how we build enough characters to sustain the blessing at the end. So, man, I appreciate those words of encouragement. I appreciate the story. Man, you are a beast. Thank you for being on the podcast today. It was just remarkable. And my takeaway here is to, add value and think outside the box, and just 1 foot forward at a time as you climb that mountaintop of success, and just stay encouraged in every situation. So thank you, Mr. Rafael Barlowe. It was a great podcast. So those of you who tuned in today, I also thank you for continuing to support the TC Lifestyle Fit podcast. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and you just stay encouraged. Keep going, keep hustling, keep working. Today, it's a beautiful day. You woke up. That's my new motto. I woke up. I'm just so grateful that God has me here. 39 years old, and I'm still breathing. I still have breath in my lungs, and God is keeping me healthy enough to do my work, to get out in the world. So the best way to show appreciation to your life is you got to just keep taking action. Keep taking action. I heard that from Damon Dash. And this is a beautiful life. Thank you all. Thank you, Rafael, for being here. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Anytime you want me on, let me know. We can make it happen.
Yeah, we're gonna do this again, baby, for real. Yeah, thank you, Rafael. Love you, brother. Take care. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.